Hello, everyone. Welcome to Head Talks. Before we get started, I do want to introduce you to one of our newest volunteers. Would you stand up, Ella, just for a second? So this is Ella. Ella is 14 years old. And so she's going to be with us for a while, right? I've already decided I'm keeping her. All right? And so she's going to be a member of the tech team, and then she would also like to join us here in Head Talks, looking stuff up for when I don't know the answer. When you guys throw me a curveball, Ella's going to bail me out. All right, that's her job. Thank you, honey. Thank you so much. All right, so we're going to get started. Today is, I changed my strategy on what we were going to talk about today. Originally, I had Nathan Hale, and it was going to be Nathan Hale singular, but as I was thinking about it, I thought it would make more sense if I did the opposing personalities. So in this, people are already guessing. Oh, everybody knows. I'm not going to surprise you at all. All right, so in our third session of espionage, I am going to do Nathan Hale, yes, side by side with Benedict Arnold. And I also thought, I was going to do Benedict Arnold separately, but I thought this made more sense. This makes more sense. All right, so we're going to start off with, a question, let me ask you. How many of you have ever been to the Old North Bridge in Concord, Massachusetts? It's beautiful, right? It's beautiful, but not everybody raised their hand. So I wanted to share that with you, all right? So we're going to take just a couple of minutes, and we're going to look at the Old North Bridge in gorgeous Concord, Massachusetts. away. It's well worth the trip. And the building that they were showing, it didn't say it, but the building that they were showing is a museum. You can go inside and there's old muskets in there, and it's pretty cool. And they have like a little film, the history to show you. It's, you know, it's doable with the walk. It's not that bad. Anyways, I highly recommend it. Just beautiful. All right, so, and of course, I'm showing you the North Bridge. Why? Yeah, that's where it all kind of got started, right? Lexington and Concord. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. One of the young, noble, patriot soldiers that was deeply affected by that incident, by that battle, was Nathan Hale, and that's who we're talking about today. He was born in Coventry, Connecticut, June 6, 1755. The home that he grew up in, that his family lived in for hundreds of years, is this right here. Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
I know. Yes, very impressive. Well, he does have some claims to fame, which I'm going to share with you. But I wanted to show you the house first, though. And I also got interior. The men aren't crazy about that stuff, but I know us women, we like to see inside. Okay, so I have that. All right, so this is the home, and they have turned it into a museum. This is a man that had a very short life, a brief period in the history of America, and yet it had such impact that he is remembered hundreds of years later, and he is memorialized in this museum and other monuments as well. So here's another photo of the home. And then you ready, ladies? We're going to go inside. And of course, it's all maintained. So this is what it would have looked like. I could deal with that. I could handle that. Very nice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. So as I said, he does have some claims to fame in his history. All right, his family, the Hale family, were one of the original settlers. They settled in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and settled Massachusetts, one of the first. But he has a relative who is famous for maybe all the wrong reasons. His great-grandfather is the Reverend John Hale, and do you know what he's famous for? Somebody got it, yes, the witch trials, the Salem witch trials, yes. So he was a proponent of finding them and burning the witches, burning these witches, both men and women, and he pursued them very vigorously. This is, by John Hale, and he was living in Beverly, Massachusetts at the time. So he was hot on the trail of getting them until something happened. Do you know what happened? His wife was accused. What?
I said either his wife or daughter.
Yeah, it had to be one. Yeah, it had to strike you personally, right? So then all of a sudden he starts to rethink this, and he totally changes his mind. So he's recanting, and he does that so vigorously that he's actually trying to save the lives of the people that he had committed to death. So he worked very hard to get them off after he accused them. So anyways, that's his great-grandfather. Now for Nathan himself, it is said, and ultimately abundantly clear, that he was a very, very intelligent, highly intelligent boy. He was also very athletic. He was good at sports. I guess I did some research, and cricket was around, and some form of football, some form of football, not what we know, but cricket, and also boxing was a big one. Boxing was a big sport at the time. Anyway, so he's just like this golden child. He can do everything. He's just a winner at absolutely everything. He is so intelligent that the family sends Nathan and his older brother, his brother Enoch is 2 years older than him, and they both are sent to Yale College. So at the time, this becomes Yale University. At the time, it's Yale College. He is 14 years old. He's 14 years old when he goes off to college with his brother. And he doesn't squander his time when he's in college at all. He becomes a member of the Linonian, yes, I had trouble with that, Linonian Society. And what they do, it's very academic. So what they're doing in this society is, it's a debate club, and what they're debating is astronomy. They're debating astronomy. They're debating mathematics. They're debating literature. They're debating ethics. And they are also debating slavery. They're debating slavery. So does this sound like a young person with extraordinary potential?
Yes, it does.
I mean, my goodness. And he graduates from Yale at the age of 18 with honors.
He's one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like he can do nothing wrong. No, he is just an amazing, incredibly accomplished young man. So he graduates in 1773. What else has happened in 1773? Oh, I think I heard someone.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Yes, I heard a couple of people say it. Yes, the Boston Tea Party is happening. So now we have a very intelligent, pious young man who's obviously athletic, and this is happening. This is happening right next door, theoretically right next door. So he's getting involved in this. But right out of college, the next thing that he does, being as smart as he is, he goes into teaching. He gets an offer to a position for a teacher in Connecticut, and so that's what he's doing until he hears about Lexington and Concord. And then what does he want to do? Yeah, he wants to do what most of the young men wanted to do, and so he joins the local militia. But he does more than that. So Nathan Hale does more than just join the militia. He also joins the Knowlton Rangers. Do you know what the Knowlton Rangers are?
They're like scouts, aren't they?
Who said it? Nice. Dennis, excellent. Yes, the Knowlton Rangers are the United States Army intelligence. In 1776, they're established in 1776, and Nathan Hale joins them. Now, at this time, you probably remember from history that the British have occupied Manhattan. Is Manhattan a very important location strategically?
Yes.
It's incredibly important strategically, right? So George Washington needs somebody to go in and try to get some information, try to go in and spy and get some of the plans. And so he puts his call out for volunteers. He needs volunteers. and there is only one person that answers the call to become a volunteer. Do you know who that one person was? Yes, yes, Nathan Hale. He is the only one that volunteers for this. And I found his actual commission. Do you want to see his commission?
Mhm.
There it is. I love finding old documents.
Mhm.
All right, so now would you agree that this is an exceptional young person? An exceptional young person. And the only word that I could think of as I'm studying about him, as I'm getting to know his demeanor and all the things about him personally as a human being, the only word that I could come up with was exemplary. How many exemplary people do we come across in our life? Not many, because all of these accolades that he receives seem to be appropriate, seem to be true, that he seems to really truly have been this extraordinary as a human being. One of his fellow soldiers says of him that he gives a physical description of him, all right? And we can read that for a minute. But then I'll call your attention to down here at the bottom. He says his mental powers seem to be above the common sort. All right, he was clear thinking, but also that he was pious. When his fellow soldiers were sick, he always went to visit them and usually prayed for and with them in their sickness. So he certainly seems to be just this exceptional, exemplary person. And it's wonderful to know that there are such people. So he has volunteered, and he has gone into Manhattan undercover, and unfortunately, he is not there for very long. He's undercover just for, I think it was less than 2 months before he was discovered. So he's discovered by the British soldiers, and he is arrested, and all he's asking for is he wants to write a letter to his brother, he wants to write a letter to his mother. One of the soldiers, General Howe said yes, and one of the soldiers took both the letters and tore them up in front of him. That was all that he wanted, so he was not treated very well. He was put on trial, and then he was sentenced to execution as a traitor, as a spy against the crown. And so on September 22nd, 1776, how long has he been in the military?
9 months.
Less than a year. He's hung. They hang him. But before he is hung, he has something to say, and you're all going to know. It's going to be familiar. He has something to say. What he has to say is, I only regret, everyone say it together. I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country. And so
He was 21 years old.
he was 21 years old.
Oh my goodness.
He had just graduated. He had become a teacher. He joins because his country is engrossed in this battle, and he wants to fight for his country, and he steps up when nobody else would. And think about this. Think about how intelligent this young man was. What would he have offered to his country? What would he have been able to give
Diplomatic.
to his country
Yeah.
with how smart he was? And yet, this is how he saw it. This is how he saw it. He was glad to have given his life for his country. Now, it's come down through history as debatable if he actually said this, so I did some research on that, and people that knew him, people, his teachers, his friends, family members, even though they weren't witness to this, but they all say that this is completely in line with something he would have said. It's something that he would have said. So I'm feeling like this is just such an outstanding person. Do you agree?
Yes.
And that I was having this kind of longing for people of this caliber. Is anyone else feeling that way? Are you feeling like it would be nice to have people of this caliber with us today?
Yes.
So then I thought to myself, we do. We do.
And we have an opposite.
We have people, we have young men of this caliber today. And so yesterday in our Veterans Coffee, I showed a clip of one such person. And it occurred to me that it would not be inappropriate to show you a high caliber person that is among us today. Would you like to meet him?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Did they make you all cry?
Yes.
We don't often emphasize the extraordinary, and so I wanted to do that, and it's just something I would like to do whenever I have an opportunity. And this little boy, he's older now, but this little boy, I would say, is exemplary. What do you think?
We know what happened to him?
I guess I'm trying to find out a little bit more, and I showed it to the veterans yesterday, and a couple of the guys are trying to find out a little bit more about him, but I guess the military honored him. The military honored him. But what an incredible young man, what an incredible, amazing young man. And so Nathan Hale was one such, and we've got one among us today, and I'm sure that there are so many. And so I think it might be important for us to look for those people. Let's look for those people, because the other people are just in our face, right? We can't miss them. Let's look for these kind of people. So now to show the other side of that, I have the loyalty question, and we're going to talk about who now?
Benedict Arnold.
Benedict Arnold.
The other side of the
And
coin.
what would cause, what would prompt, what would provoke such a dedicated man to take his loyalty and just toss it. And so we're going to take a look. Now, there's a lot of detail. This is going to be a drive-through look at the life of Benedict Arnold because of our time limits here, but we'll hit the high points. All right, so he was also born in Connecticut, interestingly enough. Okay, so he is born in Connecticut. He's older, a little bit older than Nathan, and this is the house. That's the house that he was born into. The family's wealthy. This family has also got money and deep roots, just like the Hale family. And because they've got money, Benedict is able to go to a very prestigious school. He goes to the Canterbury School. So he's really well educated, and life is going along pretty smoothly for him. It looks like it's going to be smooth sailing until something happens. Illness strikes the family, and it's thought to have been yellow fever. Now, there are 6 children. There's the mother and the father and the 6 children. All the children die except for Benedict and his sister Hannah. They're the only 2 that survive, and his father actually becomes ill. He doesn't die, but all of this just seems to be just too much on him. It weighs on him, it becomes too much, and he becomes like a broken man. He can't really deal with it in a productive way. He deals with it in a destructive way. What do you think he does? He starts drinking. He becomes a heavy drinker. And as a result of that, what happens to the family finances? So not only does he lose all of his money, but he goes into debt. All right, now he is deeply in debt because he just can't keep up with anything. Now his mother has 2 cousins who are apothecaries, and so she takes Benedict, of course, has to come out of school, and she sends him to her cousins to become apprentice, and he does. So he is going to be an apothecary. He does very well, so he's an apothecary and a merchant. He opens up his own business in New Haven, Connecticut, and he is so successful, in fact, that he is able to pay off the family debts. All right, this is so far not a bad guy, right? All right, he pays off his father's debts. He also does well enough that he is able to marry. He marries a woman named Margaret Mansfield. Later on, he marries another woman named Margaret. They call her Peggy, but it's the same name. So he married 2 Margarets, all right, and they have children. But of course, 1767, what is starting to happen? What's brewing? What's brewing in New England? Exactly, yes. And so Benedict Arnold is very devoted and dedicated. He joins the Sons of Liberty. All right, he wants to be a part of this. All right, so he joins it and he is all in. He is all in. All right, in fact, he is the captain of his local militia. And when he hears about Lexington and Concord, what does he want to do? Not just him, he wants to take his troops, right? Because he's the captain of the militia. He wants to take them all up there. And so he goes to the town hall in New Haven, and he wants the keys to the weapons supply. The armory. Thank you. Judy's in the military, can you tell? To the armory, and they're like, no, I don't know if we want to get involved in this. The selectmen, they have to debate it and debate it and debate it. So there is something called Powder House Day that is still celebrated to this day in New Haven, Connecticut. And what that's all about is, while the selectmen were planning on just debating and hemming and hawing over whether or not they were going to go help out in Boston, Benedict Arnold charges into their session, and he says that if you don't give me the keys in 5 minutes, like, give them to me now, we will break in and we are going to we'll take what we need. Oh, hey, Barbara. We'll take what we need. And so they give him the keys. And so he and his troops start heading up to Boston. Now, the one thing about this that is really important to know is the problem that the Continental Army was having basically was what? What?
No central authority.
Weapons, yes, weapons, supplies. They needed supplies. And so that was very much, you can see where it starts for Benedict Arnold, right? You can see where it starts. So then he gets this brilliant idea. The thing we need is weapons. We're not well armed. And so he gets it in his head that we need to attack what? Right? Yeah, we need to attack Fort Ticonderoga, because what's there?
The British.
But what's in the fort?
Arms.
Weapons, arms, exactly. Yes. We need to just go attack that and take all of the arms that are in the fort. But he's not the only one that has this great idea. Guess who else has this great idea? Ethan Allen. Ethan Allen. Where's he from?
Vermont.
Ethan Allen has this idea, and he also has something else on his side. He's got his own troops, doesn't he? Do you remember who they are?
Green Mountain.
Yeah, the Green Mountain Boys, right? All right, so we've got Benedict Arnold heading to Lake Champlain, and we've got Ethan Allen heading there. They've both got this great idea, all right? But Arnold has a commission. He's been commissioned to go attack the fort. So he's got commands that he's the one in authority, right? And Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys, well, they're not authorized, but they're going to go anyways, correct?
They're more like guerrillas.
They're like guerrilla warfare. All right, so they go, they meet up, they're there at the same time. Now the Green Mountain Boys, are they going to recognize Benedict Arnold's piece of paper? No, who are they going to be devoted to? Who are they Yes, that's who they're going to obey. All right, so if Arnold what's the ultimate goal is to get the weapons, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so is he gonna argue the point over who specifically is in charge? No, the bigger picture here is what's on his mind. So he's gonna co-lead into this attack on the fort. They both go in, but guess who is the only one who gets any credit for this huge victory?
Ethan Allen.
Ethan Allen. He's the one that really gets credit for it. How does Arnold feel about that?
He doesn't like it at all.
Yeah, he's not too happy about that. He was usurped big time, wasn't he? All right, well, but that's okay, because now they've got all the weapons and they're going to go supply the Continental Army. The Green Mountain Boys start to disperse. Arnold's there, and he gets some troops, all right? So his force is being renewed. He's getting some extra troops. And he's thinking to himself, you know, we're here anyway. We're right here anyway. So why don't we just go attack Quebec? I've got the troops. All right, we'll just head on up and we'll attack Quebec. So there's some more ammunition right here at this fort, and they just have to travel north a little bit. So he takes his guys and he heads on up there to attack that fort. Now, and they do, and that's a success, but there's something else interesting. Well, also there is a ship, and the ship is called the HMS Royal George. George for who?
King George.
King George, right? All right, so Arnold says to himself, I'm going to commandeer this ship, and I'm going to rename it. And do you know what he renames this ship?
The Arnold. The Benedict.
No, but that would have been good, actually. Maybe that would have satiated his need for some acknowledgement. No, he calls it the USS Enterprise.
Oh my goodness.
It's the USS Enterprise. It's the very first time the USS Enterprise has been used, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been used many times since then.
Mhm.
And then according to Star Trek, it's going to be used well into the future. Okay, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So there's Arnold. He's got his guys. He's being successful. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's up there in Canada, and New Haven, Connecticut sends up this guy, a colonel. And this colonel, Benjamin Hinman, he has been given by Connecticut authority over Benedict Arnold, who's been up there doing everything right.
Yeah.
All right, he's up there. He's the guy getting it done. But they send this colonel up there. I actually don't even know if that's like an actual sketch of Hinman, but you get the idea. So they send him up. He's just a Johnny-come-lately when it's all said and done. And guess who gets the credit?
He does.
He does.
Senior officer always gets the credit.
Yep. So he's got command over Arnold, who is thinking that he was supposed to be the one in charge here. Well, this is not, a calm, demure kind of a guy. He gets really mad, and he does what?
Wait.
I quit. He hands in his resignation to George Washington. He hands in his resignation, and he goes home. He's just had it. All right, he's just had it. Now, sadly, he does. He gets home, and when he gets home, he finds out that his wife, Margaret, has passed away. So his wife, Margaret, has passed away. So now he's really in a state, right? He's in a bad way. He's in a condition that is a real low point in his life when he hears from George Washington, and George Washington says, I am refusing to accept your resignation, and I really need you. There's a battle, and I really need you there. All right, I need you and your skill. Do you know what battle that was? That got Arnold to come out of his retirement? It was the Battle of, the Battle of Saratoga. Now, this was a huge, huge turning point in the Revolutionary War, right?
Mm.
Yes, it is an absolutely huge battle. and Benedict Arnold is there, and he is the one that is truly, truly winning this battle. He's winning this. But what happens again to him?
He's never acknowledged.
A general is sent, General Gates, all right, General Gates is sent. They clash, they butt heads. Benedict Arnold, all throughout, he just keeps kind of clashing with other military officers. In fact, there's an episode, I didn't go all into it, but Benedict Arnold court-martials one guy, but he's well connected, he gets off, and so when he gets off, what does he do? He turns around and he court-martials Benedict Arnold. They're just going to court-martial one another. Anyway, so it doesn't really amount to anything. So General Gates removes Arnold from field command when he was the one leading this battle and winning this battle. And even as this is happening, he continues, he's just dedicated, he continues on, and ultimately what happens is his horse falls on him. He's got a severe wound to his leg. He's already had gout. He's got gout, plagued him for the rest of his life. But he gets seriously wounded. But they win this battle, don't they? And it is this battle, the Battle of Saratoga, that turns the tide, because it's this win, this victory that convinces France that yes, they will. They will come in and they will join the Patriots in this fight. All right, so now they have France, and once they get France, what happens? But what happens? We win! We needed them. We had to have them. All right, so Benedict Arnold, for his duty and service, he gets this promotion. So he's going to be Major General. Do you want to see the paperwork for that? Right there. And what's he doing? And I do swear. All right, so there you have the actual document where Benedict Arnold is swearing his allegiance, all right, to the new country, to the brand new country. All right, but we know that that doesn't last for too much longer, does it? In fact, it's going to happen really, really soon. He's wounded. He cannot go back into battle. His military career is over. So George Washington is going to assign him to Philadelphia. That's his mansion in Philadelphia. Right? What? Oh. Okay, so he goes to Philadelphia, and he's going to be like the military governor. He's governing Philadelphia. They had been occupied by the British for, I think, almost a year. It was liberated, and so now it just needs, it needs some organization, and he's got Benedict Arnold in there doing that. But while he's in Philadelphia, he meets somebody. Do you know who he meets? What? The second Margaret.
Yeah.
Yes, her name is Peggy Shipman, and she is a loyalist.
Yeah.
She's a loyalist. Now there were, and as you know, that there were loyalists coexisting with patriots, right? And so there they are in Philadelphia, and she and her family haven't been affected at all by the British occupation of Philadelphia, have they? Because they're loyalist, all right? So she is just hanging out with, the upper class, and they're also going on with life as if nothing else is happening, and they're having their lavish parties and their to-dos, correct? Well, while that's going on, Benedict Arnold is being invited to these events because he is married to a shipman. The whole family, they're loyalists. And if he's going to these parties, because they had just continued to go on, even with the transfer, who is he meeting? He's meeting loyalists. Yes, exactly. In fact, one predominant figure that he meets in association with his wife and his new in-laws is this man, British Major John Andre. He is the head of the British Secret Service. All right, so now he has met up with this guy, and when General Howe has left, and then in comes Henry Clinton. He's the commander-in-chief, the British commander-in-chief. So now, all of a sudden, Benedict Arnold, who has been through all of these ups and downs in his military career and in his personal life, it seems like he has been enticed by a story as old as time, right? Story as old as time, by money and power. Benedict Arnold through Andre, who is the go-between. All right, so you've got Andre and Clinton. Andre's the Secret Service agent. Clinton is the commander-in-chief here in the United States. And Benedict Arnold has offered, because now he's going to be appointed to command West Point, he's offered to sell West Point to Clinton, to the British. All right? And he has asked for 20,000 pounds to turn this over to the British and a command in the British military. That's what he has asked for, and Clinton has accepted it. And he pays him $5,000. So $5,000 has been paid. Benedict Arnold is in West Point, and what is he doing? He's trying to weaken it from the inside. He is not making any repairs, any needed repairs. He is allowing the supplies to be depleted, and he is reassigning soldiers. So he's making it sparse. He's making it sparse. So he was absolutely, without question, going forward with the plan. And as this is happening, there's a go-between between Arnold and Clinton. Remember? Andre, all right, the friend. And it's thought that his wife was good friends, maybe even really good friends with Andre before they got married. So the go-between to give information on how this infrastructure decline is going is Andre. Now, eventually, Andre gets intercepted by Continentals. And so this whole plot has been discovered. When Benedict Arnold finds out about the arrest, what does he do? He has to get out of there, doesn't he? He has to get out. So he immediately leaves the country. He escapes. He goes to London. Andre is captured, of course, and he is tried and he is sentenced and executed. So he's executed. He dies. Arnold gets away. Not only does he get away, but Peggy and the children also are able to get on a ship and get to London. So they all get away, and they're living in England. Once he's there, he wants to write an explanation. He wants to explain himself. He's safe. They're not going to get him at this point, but he still wants to explain himself. So he writes an open letter, all right? It's to the inhabitants of America. It was published in the New York paper. I don't know if it was called the New New York Times, I don't know, but it was the New York paper. It's published, it's quite long. It's longer than what I have right there. And rather than it's so long I didn't put it up there, but I gave the link. If anyone wants to read it, I would be happy to send you the link so you can see what he says. So what's the criticism? What's the explanation? Everybody's thinking, well, he was so upset about the way he was treated, or I guess mistreated by the government, that's why he did it. And then other people say, well, it was his wife. He was very influenced by this young, beautiful socialite that caught his eye, and he was doing it for her. And he writes in this thing, if you read this whole thing through, what he's saying is this fledgling government that he fought so hard for, he is pointing out all the corruption and how he's blaming the government. He's blaming just everything else except for anything having to do with him in this letter.
Some things never change.
Some things never change, exactly, Edith. So it's an interesting letter. It is quite long, but it's worth reading. So he publishes that. He doesn't get a lot of sympathy back here, does he? It really doesn't go over well. He dies at 60. He dies in London. He's 60 years old. There's some scandals. I mean, he just can't keep himself out of trouble. He just can't keep himself out. So there's a few more things that happen to him. But the interesting point about this man is, do you see how dedicated he was at first? He starts out, right? He pays his father's debts. He wants the family name to be cleansed. It's important to him. And then he goes into the military, and he wants something to happen to glorify his family name, and he's willing to throw himself right into ultimate danger in order to have that happen. So the family name seems to be really, really important to him. His reputation seems to be very, very important to him. And then he kind of throws all that out at the end, seemingly because no matter what he did, he couldn't get that. He couldn't grasp that brass ring that he was looking for. And the end result is that there are people in our country so conflicted about this man, because on the one hand, was he crucial to the war, to the revolution? Was he crucial? Yes. Yes, he was. But then in the end, he's a traitor. He's going to sell West Point for $20,000. Well, do you know that what? Self-over country.
We see that a lot today.
In Saratoga, there is a monument. There is a monument. There is no name on the monument. It is not dedicated to anyone. And it looks like this. It's called the Boots Monument. And this is a monument to Benedict Arnold without his name. But it was erected because without Saratoga, we would not have won. And he was the critical person that won that battle. And so to acknowledge in some way, they put this monument up. And of course, what happened to him? What was his injury in Saratoga? Yes, his leg. All right, so we've got this is how conflicted we are about this complicated, complex man. We have this no-name monument to him. Okay, so that is the two sides of loyalty and devotion in espionage. Next week is going to be our last week. It's going to be our last week. And so we're going to look at a great, great spy from the Civil War. All right, everybody, thank you for coming, and I will see you next week.